Chosen one, before anything else, you must understand this truth. You are not here by accident. This message did not appear randomly in your life, and you did not stumble upon it out of boredom or curiosity. Something guided you here, quietly, precisely, and intentionally. In the spiritual realm, timing is never coincidental. When a message reaches, many will hear these words and feel nothing. Some may dismiss them, others may misunderstand them. But if you are listening, and something within you feels still, attentive, or deeply focused, it is because this message is meant for you. You are among those who walk a divine path, even if you have never named it that way before. There have been moments in your life when you acted out of instinct rather than logic. Times when you helped, waited, stopped, or obeyed something unseen without fully understanding why. You may have thought those moments were small or insignificant. Heaven did not. God watches obedience more closely than talent, sincerity more closely than confidence, and alignment more closely than effort. What you did quietly carried weight you could not see. This is why this revelation is coming now and not earlier. If you had known too soon, fear might have interfered. Curiosity might have distracted you. God protects his chosen ones by revealing truth only when it can be received with humility and calm. And now, you are ready. You may have wondered why your life has not followed a predictable pattern, why growth came through discomfort, why clarity arrived slowly, why silence surrounded you when others seemed supported. These were not signs of neglect. They were signs of preparation. God often works most deeply where there is no audience. The foundation he builds in secret is what allows power to be carried without corruption. This message is not about elevating you above others. It is about awakening you to responsibility. God gives power carefully, not the kind of power the world recognizes status, control, or dominance, but it moves quietly, shaping outcomes without drawing attention. You may feel that something has been building in you, a sense of readiness without urgency, strength without aggression, awareness without fear. That is not imagination. That is alignment. God does not rush his chosen ones. He steadies them. When the time comes to act, clarity replaces confusion, and peace replaces doubt. This introduction is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to Nothing is being demanded from you in this moment, except awareness. Awareness that God has been involved in your life in ways you did not recognize. Awareness that your obedience mattered more than you knew. Awareness that the power given to you was never meant to inflate you, but to position you. As you continue listening, do not search your memory for dramatic signs or supernatural displays. God's greatest work is often hidden inside ordinary moments. Trust that if this message resonates, it is because something in you already knows the truth of it. Heaven saw you when no one else did. And now, you are being reminded not to fear, not to rush, but to walk forward with clarity, humility, and trust. Chosen one, much of what God does is hidden not because it is unimportant, but because it must remain pure. Angels are not myths, metaphors, or symbolic ideas created to comfort human imagination. They are active servants of God, moving between heaven and earth with precision, obedience, and restraint. Yet, rarely do they appear in ways people expect. Heaven does not operate for spectacle. It operates for alignment. Many imagine angels as radiant beings appearing in blinding light. While such manifestations are possible, they are rare. Most angelic work happens quietly, invisibly, and through ordinary circumstances. An interruption that redirects you. A person who appears at the right moment and disappears just as quickly. These are not coincidences. They are assignments carried out without announcement. God often allows angels to appear in ordinary forms because revelation can interfere with obedience. If you knew you were encountering something holy, fear, pride, or performance might distort your response. Instead, God watches how you act when you believe no one important is watching. Your kindness, restraint, patience, or obedience in unseen moments reveals the condition of your heart far more clearly than dramatic displays ever could. This is why the chosen ones are often tested in subtle ways. You are not asked to perform miracles publicly. You are asked to respond correctly privately. A small decision, a quiet act of compassion, a moment of self-control. Heaven measures alignment, not intensity. Angels observe obedience, not emotion. They are not impressed by passion without discipline or faith without action. They respond to alignment with God's will. When your actions match His instruction even without understanding, you authorize movement in the spiritual realm. This is how God's quiet work unfolds. Later, you realized you were protected from harm or redirected toward peace. These were not instincts alone, they were guidance. Carried and reinforced by angelic presence. God's quiet work explains why your life may have avoided certain dangers without dramatic rescue. You were covered without knowing it, protected without awareness, guided without explanation. It should make you grounded. God does not reveal these truths to inflate the ego, but to deepen trust. The more you recognize how quietly He works, the less you demand signs and the more you value alignment. Heaven moves silently for a reason, and those who are chosen learn to recognize God's work not by noise, but by peace. Chosen one. One of the most misunderstood truths about divine encounters is this: God often hides what is holy, so that angels are not always revealed because revelation can change behavior. When people know they are being watched by heaven, they perform. They try to impress. They act out of fear or pride. God is not interested in performance. He is interested in alignment. This is why chosen ones often encounter angelic influence without realizing it at the time. Angels may come as ordinary people, inconvenient moments. Sometimes, they feel disruptive, a delay that frustrates you, a request that costs you time, a situation that tests your patience. These moments are not random. They are quiet examinations of the heart. God hides angels in ordinary form because obedience reveals who you truly are. When there is no glory, no recognition, and no reward in sight, your response is genuine. You help because it is right. You stop because something inside. You walk away because peace matters more than being understood. This kind of obedience cannot be faked. Chosen ones are often led by discernment rather than curiosity. You do not need to know why something is required to obey it. You sense alignment or resistance internally, and you respond accordingly. This sensitivity is not learned through logic, it is cultivated through trust. Over time, God sharpens this ability by keeping revelation minimal. If angels appeared in visible glory, fear would replace trust, and pride would replace humility. You would obey out of awe rather than alignment. God protects you from this by allowing you to remain unaware until awareness will no longer interfere with obedience. Revelation is delayed not as punishment, but as protection. This is also why many of your most important moments felt ordinary at the time. You did not feel power, and that is exactly what made the moment spiritually significant. Heaven records alignment, not awareness. You may now realize that some encounters stayed with you emotionally without explanation. A conversation you never forgot. A person who changed your direction briefly but meaningfully. A moment that felt heavier than it should have. These were not accidents. They were intersections between heaven. God allows chosen ones to walk unaware so that their hearts remain clean. Only later, when humility is stable and fear has loosened its grip, does understanding begin to surface. And even then, revelation comes gently, not to elevate you, but to steady you. If you did not know at the time, that was intentional. What mattered was not your awareness, but your obedience. Chosen one. There was a moment, perhaps more than one, when you responded to a situation without knowing its full significance. At the time, it felt ordinary, maybe even inconvenient. You helped someone when it cost you time or comfort. You chose patience when frustration would have been easier. You listened, waited, or intervened without fully understanding why. That moment did not feel powerful to you, but heaven noticed. You did not help an angel because you recognized one. You helped because your spirit was aligned. That is what made the moment holy. God is not impressed by awareness. He is moved by obedience that flows naturally, without expectation of reward. When you responded correctly without knowing who or what was involved, you demonstrated trust rather than calculation. In the spiritual realm, obedience authorizes movement. When you said yes through action, restraint, or compassion, you removed resistance. Something that was delayed began to move. Something that was threatened was redirected. You did not create power. God used your obedience as a key, opening a door that could not open without human agreement. You may wonder how something so small could carry such weight. But heaven does not measure impact the way humans do. Scale does not matter, alignment does. One quiet act of obedience can alter timing, protection, or direction far beyond what you can see. This is why God chooses moments that appear insignificant. They protect the heart from pride. That moment may have been followed by changes you could not explain. A danger that never reached you, a conflict that dissolved, a delay that later revealed itself as protection. These were not coincidences, they were outcomes set in motion by alignment. You were not meant to remember that moment as a spiritual event. You were meant to live through it as a human one. That is why it did not announce itself. That is why it felt ordinary. God allowed you to remain unaware so that humility remained intact. Now that this truth is being revealed, it is not to elevate you, it is to reassure you. Heaven is not distant, God is attentive. Your obedience mattered more than you realized, and it was not overlooked. This also explains why you are being trusted with greater awareness now. You proved faithful when you did not know you were being tested. You acted from integrity, not from pressure. That is rare. That is why God can now entrust you with understanding without fear of distortion. Do not search for that moment with anxiety. You do not need to identify it precisely. If this message resonates, your spirit already knows. What mattered has already happened. And heaven recorded it not as a display of power, but as proof of alignment. Chosen one, obedience never ends at the moment it is given. It moves outward, quietly and steadily, setting things into motion that you may not recognize until much later. When you acted in alignment without knowing the full picture, something shifted in the spiritual realm. Not dramatically, not loudly, but decisively. Heaven responds to obedience with precision. What your action unlocked was not a transaction, but a recalibration. God did not reward you because you earned something. He responded because alignment creates access. When your will aligned with His, spiritual resistance was reduced. Angels were authorized to move more freely around your life. Protection intensified. Certain paths were reinforced. Other paths were gently closed. This is why some of you noticed subtle changes after that season. You became harder to derail emotionally. Situations that once overwhelmed you lost their power. Confusion began to lift. Not all of that clarity did not come from effort. It came from alignment. One of the first things obedience unlocks is protection you never see. Attacks are intercepted before they reach you. Temptations lose their grip. Conflicts dissolve before escalating. Heaven does not announce these interventions because faith is strengthened by trust, not by constant explanation. But make no mistake, coverage increased. Another thing that unlocked was timing. God does not rush chosen ones. He prepares them. When obedience is proven in private, God begins adjusting future seasons. Delays that once felt frustrating start working in your favor. What could have harmed you emotionally or spiritually is postponed until you are ready or removed entirely. This is mercy, disguised as waiting. You may have also experienced loss after that moment. Relationships faded. Certain opportunities disappeared. This was not punishment. It was refined. Obedience often triggers separation, not because you failed, but because God protects what He is developing. Angels enforce boundaries that chosen ones struggle to maintain on their own. There is also an internal unlocking that happens. Your nervous system calms, your reactions soften. You stop needing to prove yourself. This is not withdrawal, it is maturity. Heaven strengthens the inner world before expanding the outer one. Chosen one. This is why your life feels quieter than others. You are not being sidelined, you are being stabilized. God does not build loudly with those He trusts deeply. He builds carefully. The obedience you offered without awareness created a spiritual reference point. When you pray now, heaven remembers your posture, not as leverage, but as a relationship. God responds to who you are becoming, not just to what you ask. Nothing you did was wasted. Nothing was overlooked. What you unlocked is still unfolding, layer by layer, in ways that will not overwhelm you but sustain you. Chosen one. God does not entrust sacred moments to careless hearts. He does not place spiritually significant intersections in the hands of those who act only when it is convenient or rewarding. The reason you were present in that moment without understanding its weight is because your spirit had already proven something long before it happened. Trust is never sudden. It is built quietly over time. God trusted you because you have a history of responding correctly when no one is watching. Not perfectly, but sincerely. You have learned to choose compassion even when it costs you emotionally. You listen when it would be easier to turn away. You pause instead of reacting. These patterns may feel ordinary to you, but in the spiritual realm, they are rare. Many people desire spiritual encounters, but few are prepared for the responsibility that comes with them. Revelation attracts attention. Attention attracts pressure. God protects chosen ones by revealing things only when their hearts are steady enough to carry them without pride or fear. You were trusted with an unannounced moment because your obedience does not depend on recognition. You have endured seasons that shaped this capacity. Periods of isolation taught you to act without applause. Disappointment taught you humility. Silence trained you to listen inwardly instead of demanding outward confirmation. These experiences were not detours. They were preparing. God also trusted you because you are teachable. When corrected, your heart softens instead of hardening. When you realize you are misaligned, you adjust rather than defend yourself. Angels are drawn to this posture. They avoid arrogance. They avoid spiritual noise. They move comfortably around humility. There is something else at work that many people misunderstand. Chosen ones are not selected because they are strong. They are selected because they are responsive. God values sensitivity over intensity. You feel when something is off. You sense when help is needed. You act before logic has time to interfere. That discernment is cultivated through hardship, not ease. You may have wondered why people open up to you so quickly, why strangers confide in you, why you are often placed in emotionally significant situations without seeking them. That is not a coincidence. Heaven recognizes a safe vessel. Angels soften moments before encounters so that peace can move through you naturally. God also trusted you because you do not seek control. You move forward even when you lack full understanding. That willingness creates partnership. Heaven honors those who say yes without demanding the full plan. Obedience given in uncertainty carries more weight than obedience given with explanation. Chosen one. This trust was not given lightly, and it has not been withdrawn. God does not revoke trust because of imperfection. He adjusts assignments, not identity. If you are still seeking, still caring, still choosing integrity, you have not failed any hidden test. It was confirmation of who you already were becoming. God saw a heart he could rely on, and heaven responded accordingly. Chosen one. Awareness is not meant to make you anxious. It is meant to make you anchored. What you now understand is not a burden to carry, but a foundation to stand on. God did not reveal this to make you hyper-alert or fearful of missing something. He revealed it to calm you, to steady your steps, and to help you walk forward without pressure. The first way to walk forward is by releasing the need to analyze the past. You do not need to replay moments, searching for hidden meanings, or wondering if you did enough. Obedience that was sincere does not require review. God does not retroactively fail his children. If heaven trusted you then, heaven trusts you now. Awareness looks ahead, not backward. Second, walk forward by staying present. Fear asks, what if I miss something? Awareness answers, God will redirect me if it matters. Your responsibility is not recognition. Your responsibility is alignment. Love people. Act with integrity. Pause when something feels misaligned. Trust that heaven handles what you cannot see. Another key is simplicity. Spiritual maturity often looks quieter, not louder. You do not need to announce what you know or prove what you. The more God entrusts to you, the more gently you must walk. Humility keeps awareness clear. Pride distorts it. You may notice that silence feels different now. It no longer feels empty or threatening. It feels informative. That is growth. God often speaks through stillness, because stillness keeps you dependent, not distracted. Let quiet moments refine you, instead of rushing to fill them. Walking forward also means allowing peace without suspicion. Some of you hesitate to relax because you are used to bracing for impact. That habit came from survival, not wisdom. God does not tease his children with calm. When peace arrives, receive it fully. It is not a trap. It is confirmation. Set gentle boundaries. You are not called to rescue everyone or explain yourself to everyone. Discernment will guide you when to engage and when to step back. Saying no can be obedience. Walking angels often assist chosen ones by redirecting attention before harm takes root. Finally, keep your daily rhythm grounded. Begin your days without urgency. End them without regret. Measure growth not by emotion, but by response. Are you calmer, kinder, quicker to forgive and slower to assume? These are signs that awareness is working. Chosen one. You are not fragile. You are refined. Walk gently, not cautiously, but consciously. Trust is your compass now, and trust will keep you aligned as long as you keep walking. Chosen one, let your spirit come to rest now. Nothing about your journey has been invisible. Nothing about your obedience has been forgotten. Heaven does not overlook quiet faithfulness, and God does not miss silent endurance. Every moment you chose integrity when no one applauded, every time you acted with love without understanding the full picture, it was seen. You were never alone in the seasons where answers felt delayed. You were never unprotected in the moments you felt exposed. Silence was not abandonment, it was refinement. Waiting was not punishment, it was preparation. God was shaping your inner world so that what comes next would not overwhelm you, but sustain you. You do not need to walk forward searching for signs or fearing mistakes. You do not need to replay your past, questioning whether you did enough. Obedience is measured by response, not by outcome. You responded with sincerity, and that was enough. God does not ask for perfection from his chosen, he asks willingness. And you gave that, even when it cost you. Release the pressure to prove your calling. You are not behind. You are not late. You have not missed your moment. Your life itself is the evidence that you are already walking on purpose. God builds great things through quiet consistency. What matters most in heaven is not how loudly you believe, but how faithfully you live. Some of your greatest victories will remain unseen by the world. That does not diminish them, it protects them. Heaven often hides what it values most, so it can grow without interference. Trust that what is being formed in you is stable, rooted, and ready in its time. As you move forward, walk humbly, love sincerely, rest without guilt. Let peace become your default instead of suspicion. When doubts arise, return to what you know. You are guided, you are guarded, and you are not forgotten. God is patient, precise, and deeply personal in the way he leads his chosen ones. Chosen one, heaven trusted you, and that trust was not misplaced. Keep walking gently, faithfully, and without fear. What lies ahead does not require striving, it requires alignment, and alignment is already working within you.